We've got 15 evil Am I the Devil Reddit stories for you guys today. Starting it off, with anime waifus are going to become increasingly popular because real women are nothing close to what men really want to date and never were. Bro should have stopped when he started typing anime waifus, but stick around for 14 more juicy Am I the Devil Reddit stories, such as, am I the a-hole for not punishing my son after he came up with a pretty elaborate plan to peep on the neighbor girl topless in her backyard? And the story that we're going to end the stream with, am I the a-hole for going to my brother's funeral? We got some good ones today, chat. Let's lock in here. Anime waifus are going to become increasingly popular because real women are nothing close to what men really want to date and never were. I already know a few people will misunderstand or read in between the lines and see things that I did not say, but I do not care, as everyone will see I am right in a few decades or so anyways. The reality is that what men want from a relationship and what women are and willing to give are just not compatible. People are quick to say that men are owed nothing from women, and they are right. But if men cannot get what they want, why would they bother improving themselves or dating women at all if they are not going to get what they want? Instead, they would find some alternative way to get what they want, which is why anime waifus, sex dolls, and such are becoming increasingly popular, and men are quitting society more and more. Anime waifus are designed to have personalities men actually want, wear outfits that are uniquely them, are innocent and cute and sexual with the... Something about putting innocent and sexual together is just... Bro, just say you're into underage girls. We all know it. Innocent and cute, sexual with them, respect them for just being them, attractive to them, etc. Just the type of femininity that real women do not have at all. They do not demand you man up for them. They accept you for you. They're also just not real. Chat, by anime waifus, is he literally just talking about like anime girls that you can talk to that are like AI or something? Or just being like obsessed with like anime fan art? Is this what this man is talking about? He's not talking about any real women. Just your favorite girl from anime? That's insane. Imaginary wife that's a cartoon? Okay, so I'm not tripping. I'm gonna say this one with my chest, bro. People who are overly obsessed with anime, and I want to emphasize overly so much because I know there's a bunch of people who enjoy anime. Dude, that's fine. You can enjoy it, whatever. There are some people who are like overly obsessed with it, and I think that's a red flag. If you are very, very, very much into anime, kind of like this guy, a little too much, bro. It's a little bit different, but it's like if somebody was overly obsessed with a celebrity, except for low-key, even worse, because it's not even real. Like, bro is literally saying that in the future, men are gonna choose cartoon anime girls over real women. Hey, boss, as a man who has experienced real women before, probably can't say you have. No, just nah. If anything, I feel like there's gonna be more of a market for men to be replaced by like robots and shit in the future. To be honest, most women I know are choosing battery-operated boyfriends. They usually do a better job too. Listen, bro, if you're into anime, go for it. And also, I feel like if you're a woman and you're into anime, that's a little less weird than a dude who's into anime. But like, chat, we all have an idea in our head of what someone like this looks like, and it's always those type of people that are this obsessed with anime. They do not expect you to earn money or be confident. They love you for you. They love your hobbies. You do not have to be worthy of them. You were born worthy. You do not get shamed. You do not have to hit the gym. You do not have to be masculine. You do not have to buy dates. Deal with all the rejection. You can cry to them without it getting used against you. You can escape all the people trying to change you, etc. Bro, who hurt this guy? Something that a real woman will never be able to compete against at all, especially when modern women have no interest in being what men want at all. I expect waifus and such to get more and more popular with time. Eventually, even men who are very successful will start choosing to stay single and look for alternative methods to get what they want instead. We are already exponentially headed that way, really. Even in the past several years, men have been dropping out more and more. I would love to see this evidence, bro. I mean, I don't know what kind of men you're hanging out with, but all the dudes I hang out with who are into women are going after women. No dude I've ever talked to is like, you know what? The actual touch of a woman isn't worth it, chat. We should go after anime waifus. Who's with me? That's never happened. And when love bots advance enough to be worth it, I expect marriage, birth rates, and dating to tank even more rapidly. We are quickly approaching a shakeup as big as birth control here, and most are just in denial of it. Hey, bro, honestly, if this just means that this guy doesn't procreate, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So he has 3 edits. 1, man, lots of people are taking this personally for some reason. Also, why would men not interested in real women care if they are attractive to real women or not? 2, I'm not going to have time to continue talking to 20 plus people at the moment, and I think this might blow up. Apologies if I do not get a chance to reply to you. 3, it did blow up, LOL. I guess people dislike the truth. They think shooting the messenger will prevent the issue they are talking about. I'm sure empty shame attacks, personal attacks, saying they said things they did not say, and other useless stuff aimed at the messenger speaking facts will do something. Well. I mean, shit, chat. We already knew you kind of had to be brain dead for thinking that you putting this on Reddit is cooking. This is an example of a hopeless human being. We kind of got to let them fuck off and do their thing until, I don't know, they pass away from being a loser. I've never seen a bigger lost cause. I'm developing a crush on my wife's cousin. How long until these feelings fade? We got a 33 male OP, a 34 female wife, and a 33 female cousin. I have a huge crush on my wife's cousin, Candace. This is a terrible situation I found myself in. I should say I genuinely think I have the greatest wife, Anna, in the world, and it's not even close. She's an amazing woman, mother, and wife. When I met her, she approached me at the bar and I was flattered. We hit it off almost immediately. She was nervous, but I found it cute, and she said she doesn't normally approach guys, but she wanted to talk. Later that night, her cousin / best friend came, and my jaw was on the ground. Candace is just a fucking gorgeous machine. Everything about her, but it was too late. I did wonder how different things would have been if I met Candace first, but 10 years later, I would say things worked out. We got married and I have a great little girl. The thought had completely left my head until recently. Maybe I'm just being a picky bitch here, chat. Calling a girl a machine rubs me the wrong way. I don't know, maybe it's just poor choice of words, but also maybe it's how you perceive women. About 2 months ago, Candace had to drop something off and I took work off while my wife was at work. She had borrowed my laptop because hers broke while she gets a new one. We were just talking and drinking wine, watching 90 Day Fiancé, and she confessed to me that when she showed up, she thought I was handsome, and it sucked I was already talking to Anna. My jaw was on the ground, and I told her when I saw her, I was like, damn, and wishing I saw you first. And she said, is that so? I immediately changed the subject, but my heart was pounding. Eventually, she left and went home. She later texted me saying she wants to hook up one time and that she would text my wife that she needs help fixing her dishwasher and to reply yes or no and then delete the conversation. She said she would understand either way, and I just said I will be over there and deleted the message. I waited and my wife said she will take care of our daughter and that Candace needs help with her dishwasher. I went over there with zero intention to have sex with her and to let her know we can't do this. But unfortunately, things went the other direction and had sex. We agreed it was just a one-time, you only live once moment, and that was that. I was just going over there, like, sex wasn't even on my mind, even though she said the whole reason for me to come over was to have sex. But, like, I swear I wasn't gonna have sex with her. I wasn't even thinking about it. But then we had sex. Okay, all right. Unfortunately, that moment started bringing up old feelings I thought were gone. She became much more flirty discreetly. I've started being distant towards my wife. We both know we can't act on it, but I kind of wish we could be together, but it would hurt too many people and I can't do that. But at events, we become closer. I had food on my face yesterday and she was wiping it off. That annoyed my wife, who said she can wipe off my husband's face. She even complained about it in the car, but I reassured her that she's overreacting. Wow, that is fucking evil. Telling her she's overreacted when you've already cheated on her with that woman. Yeah, I'm in a sticky situation and just need help removing my feelings before things get out of control. How can I lose these feelings so I can focus on my family? Someone fucking castrate this man, please and thank you. Oh my god, that was fucking painful to read. Holy shit. I think that story took years off of my life. Edit, I get it. I'm a piece of shit. You don't have to tell me because no one else feels more disgusted at myself than I am. I just want actual advice on how to make these feelings fade so I can focus on my family. I won't respond to comments just attacking me and not giving me genuine advice on how to make the best out of this really shitty situation. Bro, be a fucking man and tell your wife and tell her to divorce you and go to fucking therapy. Oh, chat, what are you guys saying, dude? I'm in so much pain, chat. I want to scream on behalf of this poor woman. I am on the same page. Envy Beige, this is how I feel. Divorce ain't enough. This man needs to get hit by a meteor. Like, pet the boy. Hold on, where are his treats? I need to summon Beans. This is so painful. Oh, wow, that was a record time. Beans, chat needs you so bad. Beans, we're hurting today. Chat, let's just all lay on the floor, okay? Everybody go hug your animal. Wait, no, have your treats. He's like, Dad, let's get down to fucking business, okay? Ren gifted, Hostile Cran gifted. I think there was one more person who gifted. This is from you guys, all right? I love that he just knows. This is like built into the stream routine at this point. This is from you guys, chat. I have a feeling he doesn't want to hang like that, but in case he does, come hang with the gang. Woo, bonk. Hi, buddy. Ooh, I kind of needed this today, low-key. Beans, you saved chat. Oh, you're so cute for that. Ooh. Beans, we needed you. I feel like he's the avatar. And when chat needed him the most, he vanished. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that they ruined New Year's celebration after they kicked my husband out over a joke? I've been married to my second husband, Mike, for 4 years now. He's a jokester and loves to crack jokes all the time. He especially likes to joke with my brother, Ethan, and his wife. Ethan used to be okay with it till he started complaining about Mike taking it too far with his jokes. Some context about Ethan: he and his wife couldn't have kids, so they adopted a boy, Joey, 2 years ago. Mike has been making silly, lighthearted jokes that involved Joey's bio parents as a way to mess with Ethan and his wife. I already talked to Mike, and I tell you that he 100% means no harm, and he was just trying to get them to react. This is so stupid to me because the reaction that he wants is a reaction that comes from him harming them. Like, yeah, you mean harm, because hurting them about something that they're probably very sensitive about is a joke to you, which is just cruel and unusual. So fast forward to New Year's Eve, my parents hosted a big celebratory dinner and Ethan and his wife came. While we were eating dinner, Mike decided to tell a knock-knock joke to Ethan. He said, "Knock, knock." Ethan laughed and said, "Who's there?" Mike replied, "Joey's bio parents." Then he burst out laughing. Silence took over and Ethan's facial expressions changed. His wife called Mike an idiot, to which Mike replied with, "Hey, relax, it was just a joke." An argument ensued and dinner was paused. My parents suddenly told Mike to leave, which I thought was too harsh. I tried to speak to them and get them to calm down, but my mom insisted that Mike left. We left, and Mike was complaining the whole time about how they overreacted. I called mom later and she told me Mike was out of line with his hurtful jokes about this touchy topic and told me I was wrong for defending him and saying he was just joking. She said he ruined New Year's for the family, but I told her it was her and dad who ruined New Year's celebration for escalating the situation and kicking him out. I told her he could talk to them, but again, they were the ones who ruined New Year's celebration. She called me delusional for this statement and hung up. We haven't talked to them for days. I tried contacting Ethan, but no response. Ethan's got to start clapping back at him, bro. Find something that Mike hates making jokes about, you know? I feel like sometimes people are just so stupid. You got to fight fire with fire, like make him feel like shit and then be like, yeah, like how it feels now. Also, chat, we're not giving enough credit to OP for being an absolute fucking evil human being. Like, she's the one bringing this absolute idiot into the family. Mike sucks. She sucks. The whole family should just go no contact with both of them. I just feel like you gotta clap back at this guy for him to understand. Like, I'd make a joke about him being the second husband. Knock, knock. Who's there? The other guy who was banging your wife before you were. I don't know. Mike sounds like the guy who would get upset at that immensely. Am I the a-hole for not punishing my son after he came up with a pretty elaborate plan to peep on the neighbor girl topless in her backyard? Lots and lots of ugly background here, but I'll try not to wander. My wife and I have been separated for 2 years, ink to paper on an ugly and contentious divorce in May. I have primary custody of our 2 kids, daughter 17 and son 14, and live in the home which we've owned for 20 years. On Monday, I came home to find my son and 2 of his friends up on the roof to our little sun deck. I asked him what he was doing and if he was being safe. They said they were playing Army, and since I've coached the other 2 kids in mountain biking for almost 6 years now, I knew their parents wouldn't mind either. So I told him to put the ladder away when he was done and to keep his phone on in case I needed him to come down. I was actually most perturbed because he didn't put the ladder away. So they did this every day this week until Thursday when my daughter came home from her CIT job and in her ever so sweet tone asked me if I was really so stupid to think my son and friends were playing Army, and let me know that the real reason is that our 22-year-old neighbor was in her backyard topless and Aiden had set up a perch on the sun deck to get a better view. I climbed up thinking she was just trying to get him in trouble, but sure enough, the deck had perfect view of the Chase lounge where I assume the girl had usually sat. I told my son to knock it off and he said he would. This morning I got an angry knock on the door and it was my ex-wife and the neighbor. They have been friends for many years. Apparently the neighbor called my wife sometime midweek and they had agreed they would confront me and my son Saturday morning. We sat down and it went from a calm, "This is something we're concerned about," to accusations of me being an irresponsible absentee parent and my son leading an adolescent sex ring in a matter of seconds. I tried to remain calm and explain that they are just acting like 14-year-old boys, and I've gotten them to stop. My wife asked if I planned on punishing him. I said that I don't feel like he did anything punishment worthy, and rather this was a learning experience about respecting people's privacy. My neighbor said that if he were her son, he'd be in intensive psychotherapy and medicated. I told her that was really overkill. My wife told me not to talk to her friend like that, and I asked them to leave before it got any more nuts. My wife has texted me that I'm being incredibly irresponsible, and if I don't do something, she's going to her lawyer to revisit the custody arrangement. In all of that, she called me an a-hole several times and said it was more miserable being divorced from me than it was to be married to me. Yay, weekend. I guess that's about it, but am I the a-hole for how I'm handling the issue with my son? Okay, listen, I will say the neighbor's reaction isn't a good one either. Intensive psychotherapy and medicated for just a boy being horny and not being taught the proper direction of how you go about those impulses is the real problem here. I do think the son should be punished more than just knock it off. But even further than that, he needs to be educated. Like, he needs to be grounded for a week because he needs to understand that if he were doing that as an adult, he's getting arrested for that. He needs to understand that. You need to explain that to him, but then you also as a father need to explain to him why it's wrong. You can't just tell him to knock it off and expect him as a 14-year-old boy to understand the underlying reasons why that is wrong. You need it explained and you need it hammered in. Do I think he needs psychotherapy and medication? No. He needs more of a crackdown. He needs someone who's going to crack down on him harder and educate him harder. 14 is old enough to know. I don't think it is, Kyra. I actually disagree with you on that one. It's too harsh on a 14-year-old, especially a 14-year-old who clearly doesn't have good parents. This is how I feel too. Put a bunch of 14-year-olds together and stupidity ensues. The subtext of that is puberty's in there too. Being horny makes adult males do tons of stupid shit. More than just like SA and stuff. Cheating or something like that. Like, can you imagine being a 14-year-old boy who just discovered that you're attracted to girls? I can't remember who in chat is exactly guy or girl, but if y'all weren't a 14-year-old boy, you wouldn't understand is kind of where I'm at. No, I'm not saying boys will be boys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is okay. I'm saying I can totally see how a 14-year-old boy would go down the wrong path if they didn't have the right guidance. All it takes is a little bit of locker room talk and honestly, media. Watching like Shameless or honestly just being on social media, and I could totally understand how a kid wouldn't be able to put together that that's wrong unless they had the guidance. Like, you can't expect a 14-year-old to like spawn with the proper way that they should go about their sexual urges. And I've experienced it. I've experienced that 14-year-old dumb horny brain that needs an insane amount of guidance that a lot of parents don't give their kids. I think this is something where you can just like really lay down the law, make them apologize to the neighbor. That should be a start. Put them in that uncomfortable situation of like, here's the person that you hurt. Ground the fuck out of them. Have that conversation with them. I think all that stuff is important. And I'm more just mad that the dad isn't doing what a dad should do. A dad should be the one coming in who like also understands those urges. They should be coming in and being like, hey, when you deal with this, in my opinion, the alternative is porn. Obviously, teach them how to safely consume porn. That being said, it's like, hey, dude, you don't watch other people who aren't giving consent. You watch people who are giving consent. Am I the a-hole for not talking to my son after he disrespected our family by making bad choices? My wife and I, 54 male, 51 female, have 5 kids. Andy, 19 male, Dan, 19 male, Rachel, 16 female, Liam, 14 male, and Abby, 11 female. About a year ago, Andy and Dan went off to university and we agreed to pay for their tuition as long as they followed our rules. We found out that Andy was going against our rules through a social media post. He didn't realize we followed both of them to keep tabs on them while they were away. Without getting into it, he wasn't living a way we would support and we couldn't continue to enable his behavior. We were infuriated and I tried to talk to him, but our conversation ended in an argument and I told him good luck being on his own. I cut him off financially and stopped any communication with him, as well as making sure my kids did the same. For a long time, Dan also had no contact with him as we were going to take his tuition if he didn't do as we asked. He went behind our backs to try getting into contact with him, but couldn't, and it turns out Andy passed away. Dan was devastated and said that we killed his brother and blames us for it. He cut us off and told our kids, which we were against as we didn't want to expose them to what happened, and turned them against us. What the fuck is this parenting style? All my kids are now saying that I was a horrible dad and ruined their lives, and Abby cries a lot now because she misses her brother. We had to put her into therapy to get over it. I don't like how he typed that. And I don't like that he is acting like he could care less if his own son died. Our entire family knows now and it's a massive split, but my wife's side, who we both avoid, says we're horrible people now, while most of my side says we were well within our rights to do what we did. I feel very conflicted now since everything is hitting me at once. Was I the a-hole for sticking my ground and apparently causing all of this? Chat, how much money do y'all want to bet that 100% Andy was gay? I guarantee that's what it was. I guarantee it, bro. Even if it wasn't, you're still just the worst human being on this planet. Like, unless he's posting like murdering children or something like that, nothing is worth not only financially cut someone off, it's another thing to completely stop communicating with them and then cutting off their communication to their siblings as well. And I guess they didn't really go over how Andy passed away, but we can all probably guess how that happened. That's just... I hope all of his kids grow up to fucking hate him. I'm just making assumptions here, chat, but the Cinderella slipper is fitting a little too perfectly for that not to be the case. Today, I fucked up by telling my crush I'm going to fuck his eyes into place. Oh no, oh no. For months, I, 29 male, have orbited a guy, 28 male, with the hope of getting to date him if the stars align. It hasn't been possible because he's been in a relationship with another guy. But the two recently broke up, so I finally got to come clean about my feelings. Wow, what a fucking terrible time to tell somebody that you have feelings for someone right after they've been in a relationship with someone and break up with them. Not only is that like shitty to do to them, like, hey, I know you're in misery, but like, I gotta tell you something. But then also, even if they moved on those feelings, it would probably just be a rebound. Like, stupid. Any of you guys are ever thinking about that? Don't. Bad idea. He pulled away for about a month because he said he wasn't ready for a rebound, but he called me up last week and we've been going out since then. Today he called in sick and kept lamenting all day over text about being bedridden. So when I got off work, I went over to his place grabbing food on the way. At his place, we ate in his bed, watching Netflix on his laptop. After a while, I initiated sex and he actually reciprocated. But then I guess I got carried away because I said something to the effect that I was about to fuck his eyes back into place, referencing his crossed eyes. One of his eyes points slightly outward. I actually find that very endearing. That is an insane thing to say to somebody. I was on top of him and he had been caressing my back up until that point, but he immediately stopped when I said that. He asked, why would you say that? And that's when I knew I fucked up. Needless to say, I did not get sex. Chat, that'd be like if someone was like, I'm gonna use me as an example so nobody gets offended. If a girl told me, I'm gonna fuck your eyes to be open more. It's so crazy. Why would you fucking say that? I think if the right girl with the right repertoire said that to me, I think it's funny as fuck. But if a girl just cold turkey said that shit to me, bro, I would lose my shit. Wow, but I don't know if it's devil worthy. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that, Solar Loss, actually. It's not necessarily devil as much as it's like, dude, come on, why the fuck? Motion to start a new subreddit that's just, am I fucking stupid? Like, let's put that one in there. Am I the a-hole for forcefully bringing my boyfriend to our girls trip after being told not to? So about 2 months ago, my two best friends, Katrina 21 and Elena 21, not their real names, and I 21, had made plans to go to Vegas for our 21st birthdays. Our birthdays are all in a span of 2 months. We planned a 21-hour road trip from Texas to Vegas. Originally, we were going to fly, but they couldn't really afford to pay for everything we wanted to do and fly in such a short time. So I thought the next best thing was a road trip. We get to sightsee, it's cheaper the way I planned to get there, and we just had the time. About 2 weeks ago, I was talking to my boyfriend about the trip, and it was brought up that he also has never been to Vegas before. After a lot of thinking, I realized Katrina and Elena don't really know how to drive, and if we actually went on this trip, I would be the one driving the whole 21 hours. I don't know about y'all, but I wouldn't want to be the only one driving 21 hours if I didn't have to. So I thought not only would it be safer for him to be there with us, but I wouldn't have to drive that far by myself. Plus, he offered to pay for some of the excursions we wanted to do and some of the dinners if he could as a gift for letting him come along. Of course, I told him he didn't have to and it was unnecessary, but he insisted. When I told Kat I wanted to invite him, she freaked out and said that this was a girls' trip, no guys the entire time, and to tell him no, she just wanted it to be us. To be honest, we had never called it a girls' trip originally. It was supposed to be a celebration for the three of us turning 21 a month ago. And I just got my license in the middle of December, and Kat just turned 21 and graduated college early, and Elena just got promoted at work, so really didn't think it'd be a big deal. After that conversation, I told them that I wasn't comfortable driving the entire way there, that it wasn't fair for me to drive myself, and that I wouldn't go if he couldn't, or that we could bring someone else who could help drive. But it had to be someone that I trusted to drive my car. They had no one else in mind, so my boyfriend came along. Unfortunately, during the trip, my boyfriend did end up paying for a bit of their things as gifts, even after I told him not to, because they kept kind of ignoring him until it was time to pay for the dinners. Though he has the money to pay, I didn't think they'd deserve it for how they were treating him. Now they won't talk to me much, considering all three of us are roommates, and they told some of our friends that they are upset with me for being the girl who brings her boyfriend on a girls' trip, and that I brought him everywhere, and that we, us three girls, had no alone time together, and that I don't care that I act annoyed when they bring it up. Mind you, I am annoyed. To be honest, I just wanted him to be included while we were together, and there were times during the trip he did stuff by himself and left us alone, and yes, we were all cool before this, but seriously, am I the a-hole for this? Honestly, chat, kind of a mid am I the devil. Low-key, one person driving 21 hours there and 21 hours back is kind of a lot. Like, I'm not saying that she should have forced her boyfriend on there, but that is a lot to ask of one person on a road trip. I'm kind of on the wave that everyone sucks here. Everybody, I think, had some hill that they died on that I'm just like, that was unnecessary. I don't think it's the end of the world if the boyfriend comes. I don't think the boyfriend's necessarily doing anything wrong and he wanted to positively contribute to the trip. I think OP's concerns are somewhat merited. I don't think she should have kept pressing when her friends clearly wanted it to just be a girls' trip, but I kind of understand not wanting to drive 21 hours on your own there and back. So 42 hours total. I just think everybody was like kind of petty and stupid and like everybody wanted their own way without trying to find a compromise. And I think that's the problem I have with this, more or less. The more that I think of this, the more I'm kind of on the wave of like, if the person who's solely responsible for driving wants to bring someone on the trip to help them drive a total of 42 hours, I'm kind of here for it. Expecting one person to drive 42 hours is dangerous. Yeah, chat, I think I'm saying not only not the devil, but maybe even not the a-hole. Do I think OP could maybe have had better communication as well as like political skills with her friends to adequately convince them that they need to bring this boyfriend? Yes, but that's just dangerous to have one driver for 42 hours. Am I the a-hole? Boyfriend pays for his married daughter's bills. I have this relationship with this 50-year-old man, I am 41, who is through the final stages of finalizing his divorce. We have been dating for a year, but until today, I have not met his 28-year-old only daughter. She has been married for 4 years now, and she has a 1-year-old boy. It is still uncertain as to why she has not visited or responds to my boyfriend's texts or anyone on his side of the family. He believes it is because he wants to sell the house he still owns with his ex, my boyfriend's daughter, her husband and their son, and my boyfriend's ex still live in that house. They were given the option to buy him out, but they all want the house to be sold to them to what it was worth back in 2013. My boyfriend just wants a fresh start. So last year, back in November, my boyfriend and I were supposed to travel along with another couple to Cancun. My boyfriend does not have the hours or flexibility to take vacations as us three have. He asked to postpone the trip to March, so we agreed. A few days ago, while attempting to schedule the trip, he told me he was not ready financially and time-wise, and he couldn't make the month of March either. I was upset, but did not say anything. So about 1 or 2 days after this, he confessed how much he misses his daughter and grandson and continued to tell me he cannot believe how she takes up to 1 week to answer his texts. We continued the conversation, but changed the subject a little, and he told me that he still pays for his ex's car insurance, which is understandable, specifically since divorce is not finalized, and for their daughters. I was livid. I was like, who? Your daughter that is married? I was being sarcastic as they only have her. I asked why, and he said because that is his daughter, and he was going to continue helping her. He continued saying he only pays $100 a month for her insurance. He spends that and more every time him and I go out to eat. My boyfriend and I never talk about money and where our money goes, but I have a career which I make my own money, and just about 5 months ago, I bought a condo with no one's help. So no, I am not after his money. We do not live together. He lives with his parents, but he does buy groceries for my house here and there, but does not pay for any of my bills and never gives me cash, nor do I expect it. He continued saying he could not believe I was talking about his daughter, and I responded that I could not believe either that after how she treats him, he is doing this. So what about her good-for-nothing husband? Is this the reason why we are not traveling on March? After my friends and I bend backwards to accommodate him, he continued saying that he confides his issues in me so I can listen but not judge. Am I the a-hole? I was, and I'm still livid. First off, what a fucking terribly written paragraph. That was a struggle to read. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I was fucking struggling reading that. Chat, I think this is I need more information. I'm not 100% sure, but there is a possibility that this man was cheating with OP on his almost ex-wife, but like it's not confirmed. They've been dating for a year, but maybe they've been separated for a year. Maybe they met while they were separated, or I don't know, chat. Like I can't really get a read on this. Like, y'all, maybe I'm a fucking dickhead, but like if you're 28 and not paying for your insurance, kind of a little like, what are we doing? I kind of get why OP would be like, hey bro, so you know, I'm trying to build a life with a partner. Part of building a life with somebody is saving money for retirement and having money for fun things like this trip they want to go on. Hey man, why are we paying for this 28-year-old's insurance? I just feel like I need more information, and I didn't read this, and I'm like, for sure, without a doubt, OP is the devil. Unreliable narrator is so true. Like, I think there's just backstory. Like, I think we need to know why this daughter doesn't want to talk to him. I kind of agree with what Brenda's saying. We need to know more about why he's broke. I want to know more about this 28-year-old situation. Is she just lazy and her and her husband don't have jobs? Have they fallen on tough times? How long has he been paying for their insurance? Because like, I totally get it. Like, if they were doing fine and then they both got laid off and bills started piling up and they moved in and the dad was like, you know what, I'll cover your guys' expenses while you're trying to get on your feet, that makes sense to me. But if he's just like, oh yeah, my daughter and her husband are sitting around all day and don't have jobs, and I just have to pay for my daughter's insurance at the age of 28 because she's my daughter, and also I'm maybe compensating for this divorce that me and her mom are going through, that's where I'm like, you know, I don't know. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to mop the floor again after she used a lizard spray? I, 24 male, have a selfish and narcissistic sister, Sarah, 18 female. I've written a post about her a few months ago and explained why she's selfish and narcissistic, so I don't feel like I need to expand on that anymore. But here's the story. Last Sunday, I cleaned the entire house all by myself around 1 a.m. because it's easier to do when everyone else is asleep. I cleaned the ceiling fan in the living room, dusted the shelves and frames, and swept the floor, vacuumed the floor, and mopped the floor. I have no trouble doing these because I'm always home since I'm still studying, and my elder sister is working, so it's fair to me to do the chores. Although my elder sister helps out as well with the laundry and folding the clothes. I fold my own clothes. Why doesn't our younger sister help out? Like I've said, I made a post about it and it's a pretty long story. To cut it short, she's simply just lazy, selfish, and narcissistic. Today, Sarah saw a bug or whatever and used a lizard spray to kill it. Lizard spray is more dense and oily compared to a mosquito spray. Why did she use a lizard spray when we have a mosquito spray? I honestly have no clue. So I told her to mop the floor since the floor is oily and I just cleaned the house a few days ago. To me, it's fair since she was the one who caused the mess and I was the one who cleaned the house. But she got defensive saying, why me? Why do I have to mop the floor? Goes to show how narcissistic she is. I kept quiet and just gave her a look. She then got a wet tissue and wiped the floor instead of mopping it. Goes to show how lazy she is. Not only that, but she didn't even wipe it properly because the floor was still oily and the stain got worse because she used a wet tissue that is soapy. Goes to show how selfish she is. She then went to her room without a word. In the end, I had to mop the floor again because she made it worse. I didn't call her out because it's just useless when dealing with someone selfish like that. It's like talking to a wall. If I had called her out, all she would do is get mad, play the victim, and start a fight with me, which I'm not interested in because it was 10 p.m. and also an unnecessary argument since I know I'm not in the wrong. To be honest, I'm writing this just to vent out, but what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole in this situation? Listen, I don't like OP's tone. OP sounds like he could also be selfish and narcissistic. I also don't really fuck with the sister here. Would y'all agree with that? Yeah, everyone sucks here? Okay, that's how I feel. This dude communicates more in this post than he did with his actual sister. I agree with that gesture, Frankie. Even if you are right, if she is narcissistic, selfish, and lazy, ranting about it on Reddit isn't gonna fix anything. I mean, what are people saying on the thread? I'm very curious. You're the a-hole. You clearly have an opinion of your sister, and no matter what she does, you'll use that as examples to reinforce your opinions. You asked her to clean it up, and she cleaned it up the way she thought it needed to be cleaned. You got mad because she didn't want to do it your way. It's definitely excessive to mop the entire floor for one spot of spray. I mean, yes, but also right after he mopped it, like I kind of get it. Okay, I think actually this comment cooks. You're the a-hole. You're also confusing narcissism for immaturity. If you and your older sister always do the cleaning and have always done the cleaning, why should she start now? You helped create this lazy individual. Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of my vibe. Like his labels other than maybe lazy seemed excessive. I would label it immaturity over anything else. I still think maybe the sister has an attitude issue, but I liked what y'all were saying about everyone sucks here, low-key. I feel like if we read these edits, we'll get more into the mind of OP. OP wrote like 5 edits responding to people and what they had to say in the comments. Edit 1, if you think I just hate my sister and I'm being too harsh on her, keep in mind the stain on the floor was literally next to the corner of our dining table, which is dangerous because anyone could have slipped and hit their head on the sharp edge of the table. Imagine losing an eye because of it. The fact that she didn't clean up the floor immediately until I told her to goes to show how selfish she is. She literally just sat there on her phone while the floor was hazardous. So yeah, she really is selfish. Okay, sure, but that seems like a stretch. Like, yes, I guess it's possible. I don't really think that's a fantastic argument for her being selfish. That's a fantastic argument for her being a teenager because she is one. Edit 2, the point of this post is not about her not listening to me or that she used wet tissues instead of the mop like I told her to. The point here is that she doesn't take responsibility for her own actions. If you made a mess, would you leave it or would you clean it up? Exactly. She didn't clean it up until I told her to. On top of that, she didn't even clean the floor properly, spreading the oil even more. Not only that, but she also just immediately went to her room, leaving the floor that she half-heartedly cleaned. Also, like in the first edit, it is dangerous because the floor is slippery. What if one of us slipped and hit the corner of the table? The whole point is her taking no responsibility, not about this mop versus tissue that so many of you are bringing up. Edit 3, some of you are calling me the a-hole. Okay, try putting yourself in my shoes. What would you do if you just cleaned your house and then someone, either your family or friends, made a mess? Would you just let it go or would you tell them to take responsibility? A majority of you would go for the latter, right? Okay, now, how would you feel after telling them to clean up their mess, only for them to play victim and clean it up half-heartedly, causing you to clean it yourself in the end? Would you be delighted or would you be somewhat mad or disappointed? Ask yourself that question and see whether you'll behave differently or the same as me. Keep in mind, deep inside, I was mad, but I didn't say anything, just as written in the post. I didn't call her out or anything. I just cleaned it up myself, made this post to vent out, and moved on. Edit 4, sure, maybe I'm the a-hole for the way I'm writing this, but that's not the point. The point is about her not taking responsibility. So please make judgment based on the content of the story itself, not exterior stuff like the way I'm writing, me being emotional, the post is too long, etc. Final edit, hopefully if you are wondering why a bunch of adults are living under one roof, I am Asian and we live in Asia. It is normal for Asians to still live with their parents unless they get married and have their own family. For single people, most of us live with our parents even if we are 30 years old. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with it because it's just the culture in most Asian families. Same as how it is common for Americans to live on their own once they start college. It might sound weird to you, but it's our culture, so please don't be rude about it. Besides, us adults living under one roof is not even the point of this post. I don't get why some people are bringing it up, even when it's not the main issue. Yeah, I mean, I would have never put this in Am I the Devil chat. I just think this whole post is so stupid. I think that's my verdict, is this is dumb. Sure, is your sister probably a little immature and needs to learn how to clean up after herself? Yeah, bro. Is that what you wanted to hear? But also, you need to get rid of this holier and mightier than thou mentality that you have around your sister, and remember that she's a child and you're an adult. She isn't even past 18 yet. I don't know, take it up with your parents or something. Venting about it on Reddit isn't gonna fix the situation. If it really pisses you off that much, go live on your own. Culturally, yes, you're supposed to live with your parents. You also could just not, assuming you have a job and stuff like that. My cousin hates me and I'm pretending not to notice. You can call me 25 female, a horrible person all you want. I have a cousin named Iris, 16 female, and I love her so much. Here's what happened. Iris has autism and she was hanging out with this girl who was doing a bunch of things I didn't want her to be around. I told her parents because I thought it was for her own good. I was trying to do the right thing for her. Iris got really mad and we had a huge argument. She said she would never speak to me again. It's been 4 months and I thought maybe she had forgiven me, but she hasn't. She's still really mad. Recently I saw her and said, "Hi, Iris." She didn't say anything or even look at me. I tried talking to her, but she just kept playing on her Switch and didn't pay any attention to me. This was around Christmas, but in our family, we celebrated late this year on January 5th. I had a $30 budget for everyone's gift, but for Iris, knowing she probably still didn't like me, I spent $38. I got her a makeup kit with a bunch of different products, and it was pretty expensive. When it was time to open the presents, Iris gave everyone gifts except me. Then she opened the gift I gave her. She just looked at it, then looked at me and didn't say anything at first. Eventually she said, "Thank you." But when I tried to give her a hug, she flat out refused. She told me, "Don't you dare ever fucking touch me." I don't think I did anything wrong. I was just trying to do what was best for her, but now she absolutely hates my guts. I love Iris so much. I mean, I need to know what this is. You know, there's a point at which expressing how much you love your little cousin becomes a little weird, deciding that you need to drive off one of her friends for, let me check my notes for what's been found in the comments. Yes, experiencing mental illness. What an unforgivable sin. That adds more weirdness, exponentially more weirdness. Being this obsessive about needing to be your cousin's favorite and not letting her have any autonomy is just setting my teeth on edge. The nefarious things. She was just really disrespectful to our parents and just had a lot of mental health problems, and she would self-harm. There's what we were missing, chat. Yeah, you're absolutely the devil then. That's not a good reason to force her from having that friend. If anything, it's more about the education around it, so that Iris not only doesn't do it, but can be there for them to support them if they ever talk to them about when they do it. Self-harming is a reportable offense. I would want to know. I don't disagree with that, but the isolating her from the friend part is the part that I disagree. I think it is important for people to be aware of it, but number one, that's not safe for the kid who's self-harming. Like, oh, hey, this friend that I hang out with a lot can't hang out with me because I do this. Like, what do you think is gonna happen now? And two, like, you can't shelter them from that. You can't shelter them from the world. You gotta like educate them about it. I think OP had an instinct that was telling her, hey, this friend is doing this thing and I need to do something about it. I don't actually think that instinct is wrong. The only problem is that the action that she took was to isolate her cousin from this friend, or take steps that caused her to be isolated from this friend, which I don't think is the right answer. I don't think that's good for the friend. I don't think it's good good for the cousin. And I think it's just unrealistic. You are going to run into stuff like that when you are at the age of 16. I know I was. And I wasn't even really properly educated around it. Kind of luckily, I came to my own conclusions about it that I wouldn't do it. But I think it's important, you know, if you really want to help her, the solution isn't separating her from it, because she will be exposed to it, whether it's on social media, whether it's at school with other people. Like, the exposure will be there. It's teaching them why they shouldn't do that, and then also how they should support people that do. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my son to play during his day off from school? My son Caleb is 8 years old and in the 3rd grade. He had the day off from school today due to it being MLK Day. I have a policy that if he has the day off from school due to it being a holiday, he cannot play until the time where he would normally get home from school. No TV, no video games, and no playing outside. Instead, I give him the option of studying about the holiday, in this case, MLK Day, or help me around the house. I don't force him to do any of these things, but if he doesn't want to, he can sit and do nothing. He isn't allowed to play until the time he normally would get home from school. Also, if I need to run errands, unless my husband Jack can watch him, Caleb has to come with me. Okay, this I agree with. You know, the kid's 8 years old. He probably should come with you. I actually kind of support this, low-key, especially about MLK Day. Like, that never hurts for somebody to learn about. But for the whole day, I maybe understand like an hour of studying about MLK Day and an hour helping around the house. But after that, bro, like, why? You fucking weirdo control freak. Oh, it's icky. I do this because I want him to understand that not all people get the day off on holidays that kids have off from school. I have pointed out that a lot of businesses are open on holidays as our emergency services, and I've explained to him that when he's old enough to get a job, depending on where he works, he might be expected to come into work on those days. I also do this because depending on what he wants to do, I might not be up for taking him various places or doing the things he feels like doing. Okay, so you want to treat a child as if they're an adult when it's a fucking 8-year-old kid, and also you're lazy as shit. I am a homemaker and Jack works from home. His job allows him to set his own schedule, but he usually works holidays and at least part of the weekend. I usually spend the day cleaning, grocery shopping, and when I'm finished, I usually relax until it's time to pick Caleb up from school, which is 2:40 p.m. Today, Caleb complained about not being allowed to play, but didn't want to study or help around the house, so he chose to sit and do nothing. He continued to complain, yet whenever I reminded him that he could still study or help around the house, he still chose to do nothing. After I was finished cleaning up, which was around 11 a.m., I got to go to the grocery store. I took him with me. And after we got back, I watched an episode of General Hospital I had recorded but hadn't watched yet, and spent the rest of the afternoon reading. Caleb kept complaining, and I eventually told him that he wasn't allowed to play when he would normally have gotten home from school. He still complained, and I told him to go to his room. He doesn't have any toys in his room. How to raise your kid to fucking hate you 101. How to raise a kid that's gonna go no contact ASAP Rocky the day they turn 18. Like, shortly afterwards, Jack came into the kitchen to have lunch. He told me that we were being unfair to Caleb because other kids, including his friends, get to play. But to him, it feels like he's being punished. The thing he especially had a problem with was me watching TV when he wasn't allowed to. He said that he's never liked this rule as it wasn't a rule his parents had when he was a kid. It was a rule that my parents had, however. Oh, so it's generational trauma. Okay. This is how your parents treated you and you didn't like it. So now that you're a parent, you're going to do the same thing to your kid because it's unfair that you had to deal with that, but other kids don't. Okay. Got it. I'm picking up what OP's putting down. OP is just a piece of shit. But my husband went along with it. I told him I wish he had said something about this years ago and we argued. He's still mad and Caleb is still upset. So now I feel bad, but I still don't think he should get the day off on a day when most adults still have to work. The fact that people like this can reproduce hurts. I know, blah, 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 eugenics, blah, blah, blah. That's unethical. I don't care. It's unethical for a kid to have to live like this. This is insane. People who had bad childhoods shouldn't be able to have kids until they get therapy. That is a hot take, Manoa. Am I the a-hole for telling my son that family is more important than school? My son Damien, 14 male, takes school seriously. He wants to be at the top of his class and have the highest grades, but can't. I often have to pull him out because he has to help out the family with various things. My husband and I are both disabled, and my papa, 88 male, who is on end-of-life care, lives with us. We usually ask him to help care for the house since my husband and I can't do it ourselves, help care for his granddad, and have him help his little siblings out. 8 male, for male when we can't. Before anyone says it, no, we cannot afford to hire someone to help us, so we can only rely on each other. So this kid is providing end-of-life care for the grandpa, is also parenting 2 young children, and is entirely responsible for helping take care of the house. So he's probably like the maid and the cook. Oh my God, bro. Like, chat, this might be fucked up for me to say, but if you and your spouse are so disabled that when you have kids, you are going to make them parent for you and clean for you and do all the responsibilities of being a parent, you shouldn't have kids. I don't know, maybe that's extremely fucked up for me to say, guys, but like, this is unethical in my opinion. These poor kids, man, they were born into failure. He is failing a few classes and the school says he will either have to take them next year or do summer school to make them up. He's been crying about this and started lashing out when we make him stay home to help. Today was especially bad and we ended up arguing. I told him that family is more important than school and that his grades won't mean anything once he graduates and gets a job anyway. How is he going to graduate and get a good job if he can't go to school to learn things? He says he wants to go to college, but I reminded him that we can't afford it. So how is he going to go without money? He's upset and neglecting his brothers, which is causing extra stress on my husband and I since we have to wrangle them and help my papa. He is currently grounded, but I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh. I mean, grounded from what, bro? What could you possibly do to this kid that's worse than making him neglect his education to take on adult responsibilities? Chat, you know this person is truly the devil. When in my brain, I seriously thought to myself, would it be better if he was in the foster system? I don't know if I can even adequately answer my own question, but that's what went to my brain. Y'all know my fucking controversial take on like, you shouldn't even have kids if you aren't planning on helping them afford college. I'm not saying you have to pay for it fully. I'm not saying you have to even contribute an insane amount. But if you're having kids and you're not at least considering, okay, we need to start some sort of fund to help them pay for college, I think that's unethical. I'm actually so sad for this kid. You know what it is with the foster thing? At this point, I think it's just a better move to roll the dice. I'm just trying to think, if I was on this kid's situation, I'd be like, let's roll the fucking dice, because I'm not going anywhere with this. At that point, why the fuck not? Hey, buddy. What do you want, pretty boy? Oh? Oh, he the king of the hill. He the king of the hill. Is it lay on my mouse time so I can't keep working? Him want treats? Guys, I can't give him more treats. He'll puke on my carpet. Oh, okay. All right. Ow. Oh, I need to cut your nails. I forgot about that. He's the king of the hill. Meow. Hey! Why? What did I do to you? Meow. Is it because I said I'd clip your nails? That must be a chat. He's like, don't you fucking dare. Husband left me alone on the streets all night. We have a 31 male husband and a 30 female OP. My husband and I have been married 5 years. Our marriage has had its downs and more ups recently. We bought a home and just moved in. It's been nice and feels like our marriage improved a lot. Lots of love and kindness. We have had a lovely time. My husband came home from work last night, 1 a.m., and I said something in a tone he didn't like. It was nothing major. I just spoke a little blunt because he was being snappy to me already. He told me to shut up, and I said it back to him and told him that it is so rude. He told me to shut up again, then minutes later tried talking normally to me. I said to him, I thought you didn't want me to speak. To which he responded in a threatening way. Okay, don't worry, we'll see what happens. I said, what's that supposed to mean? And he said, don't speak to me, and went upstairs. This ruined my day. I cried and eventually led to me having a panic attack, sobbing loudly. He ignored me, shut his room door. He knows I suffer from panic attacks and anxiety. I got so angry that he'd done this to me in my panic state. I told him I'm leaving the house. So I left the house at 2 a.m. He didn't once call or check up on me. He left me to wander the streets. It was a freezing cold night. I walked 40 minutes until I reached my family's home. I stayed there that night. He called me at 1 p.m. the next day. I lied and told him I'd been at the hospital overnight. When I got home, he wasn't bothered if I was okay. He was more angry that I had left. He said he needed space and was angry at me the day before. He told me I'm an adult and it's my own fault for leaving. He said he won't run after me if I decide to leave him again at night. I know I shouldn't have left, but I feel like he was being so cold over nothing. I felt abandoned, so that's the reason I left. I'm so shocked. I can't get over the fact that he didn't care to check where I was. knowing I was walking in a new area so late at night. I could have been in danger. I thought we were good and he really cared about me. 5 years later. Right now, he has no sympathy and is more bothered about how could I have done this to him. He asked me why I even came back. He yelled at me now and has left me alone. He expects me to be sympathetic towards him. What advice do you have? I just read the most toxic shitstorm I have ever seen. I think the funniest part of this whole story is them starting it off with, our marriage has had its downs and more ups recently. Like, nah, girl, I would bet that it's mostly downs and very little ups. You're just Delulu, babe. I mean, don't get me wrong, the husband sucks too. This is more of an everyone sucks here than an am I the devil. Lying about being in the hospital overnight is insane. Leaving for the sole purpose that he would come after you is just outrageous. It's giving relationship that feeds off the toxicity. It's giving people who will only be in relationships that are toxic because they're more fun. My husband has been really abusive with me ever since I didn't allow him in the birth room of our firstborn, 30 female, 38 male. I'm clueless on how to proceed. We have a 30 female wife and a 38 male husband. We went to bed around 9ish. I told him I had been feeling slight contractions and a pain in my lower back. We had already kept a bag ready just in case it happens without warning. It was around 1 at night that I suddenly woke up. I heard a slight pop and there it was. My contractions weren't as severe as I expected it to be. So I immediately rushed to my car with the bag while he was sleeping. He had to help his neighbor during the day with some extensive garage work and was really worn out, even though he tried denying it. So I let him sleep, but I made sure to leave a message for him. Girl, not only is that not okay to not let the father of the child know that you're going in labor, but also isn't that extremely unsafe for her to be driving to the hospital by herself while she's having contractions? The hospital was only 5 minutes away, so I really had no problem. I texted my elder brother who works at the hospital. It was already planned that he was my second choice in case my best friend couldn't make it. She had sprained her knee a week ago. To be allowed in the birth room. You want your older brother in the birth room instead of your husband? Before any comments, I've been struggling with BDD for a few years now. Special thanks to my ex. When we had earlier talked around a month ago about who was allowed and wasn't, I told him I wasn't really sure, but it was either him or my best friend. But a few days after that at a gathering, one of his cousins had commented on how he downgraded really bad on his choices and that she felt bad for his child because she was gonna have my face fat. I'm from Australia and he's South Korean. These comments weren't new to me, but I took it personally. I never told him about his cousin's attitude though. I do have really chubby cheeks and my thighs aren't exactly glorious in shape. Chat, is BDD body dysphoria disorder or something? Body dysmorphia disorder. Okay, so fast forward, it was around morning. I was still having severe contractions. My husband had apparently arrived at the hospital around 4 a.m., but he stood outside because I had informed them that I didn't want him inside. It was messy and horrific and it was all out on display. I was screaming my lungs out and I felt comfortable with my brother around. He has always been a great support system and him being a doctor helped me relax and not stress out too. I didn't want my husband seeing me in that state. It was embarrassing and I was scared that he would feel less attracted to me. The husband stitch stories haunt me too. Not to invalidate my husband, but I heard stories of men fainting or getting sick and I didn't want to deal with that. He also gets really a bit too much excited about stuff. While I wanted a more relaxing and calm environment, something only my brother could provide. This might be controversial to me. I'm actually kind of okay with this part. Like, if you don't want your husband to see you pushing a child out of your vagine and shitting yourself and maybe tearing yourself, maybe bleeding, I'm honestly all for you being like, hey babe, can we maybe like not have you be there and have someone more comfortable there with me? Brother is wild. I understand it. The problem I have is the lack of communication around it. Not only leaving your husband sleeping in the bed while you're going into labor, but I'm guessing that this wasn't really a finalized thing for him to expect if your reaction to going into labor was to leave him at home. Like, let's be honest, you probably left him at home so that he hopefully missed the birth. Now, my brother and my mother were the first ones after me to hold him, and I didn't see anything wrong in that. They had just been so excited as me, but my husband made a huge tantrum out of this. He didn't hold the baby once until we got home. I spotted him cooing to the newborn and having their bonding time. But recently he's gotten really nasty, this being 2 months in. He does cook and clean the house for now, but he rarely ever comes and sits on the bed at night for a talk. this being something huge as it was our very own routine for the entire time we've been together. Guys, I don't know what this sentence is trying to say. They're either trying to say he doesn't spend as much time with the baby as my best friend's significant other spends with the baby, or they're trying to say he doesn't spend as much time with the baby as my best friend's significant other spends with their baby. I've seen them having their moments. He usually is the one to give a bath to the baby, but whenever I enter the room, he leaves and continues his work. I snapped yesterday and told him he was being like the other fathers we usually hear about and that he needs to step up his game. But he just nodded and said, "Do I have the liberty to?" and walked away from there. Chad, I'm not gonna lie, he kind of ate with that line. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not seeing the abusive part of this. I mean, could he maybe communicate better with her? Sure, but I'm not really seeing abuse. I think he's pissed at her, and rightfully so. I'm on the husband's side, bro. OP is absolutely the a-hole. Not only for, like, in my opinion, kind of falsely accusing him of abusing her, but also for the way that she went about leaving her husband out of this birth. Am I the a-hole for going to my brother's funeral? Before we finish up this last story, if you've gotten this far into the video, that probably means that you're enjoying it. And if that's the case, all I ask is that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future reading Reddit videos. I upload 2 a week. They're usually 40+ minutes and they go up every Monday and Thursday. On top of that, I have over 110 reading Reddit videos on my channel. So if you're looking for your daily dose of drama, head on over to my channel for hours and hours of reading Reddit stories just like this one. Background: my brother and I, 54 male, we're fraternal twins, are from a conservative, traditional Catholic family. Long story short, my parents found out my brother was gay when we were 14 because I saw him and another boy kissing and I told on him. He was sent to a therapy camp, and when we were 17, he was kicked out of the house. He had a very hard life after that and was homeless for years. I am ashamed to admit it, but I supported my parents' actions at the time, but I did a lot of thinking, and when I got older, my views on homosexuality changed. 25 years ago, I found my brother's phone number and called him to tell him I was sorry and that I wanted to reconcile. He did not accept my apology. I said that I hoped he could forgive me one day. I tried to stay in contact with my brother over the years. I called at least once a year and tried reconciling with him many times, but he was distant. 2 years ago, he told me to stop contacting him. That upset me, but I stopped. I mean, chat, I'm liking what I'm reading in this paragraph. It just in terms of him being like, I did something wrong. I realized that I was wrong. I tried to take steps to reconcile for my wrong. And when that person said that it was unfixable and I should stop contacting him, I stopped. I have to at least give OP some props there. But yeah, yes, you're right. You're right, Demon Sword. OP is owed nothing. It's at least worth bringing up the taking accountability and the attempt at reconciling. A month ago, I found out that my brother had died and his husband was arranging his funeral. I didn't even know he had gotten married. I was devastated to hear about my brother's passing. I did some digging and saw that his husband posted about his funeral on social media. It was in the city he moved to, which is in another state. I took off work and went to the viewing and got in with no problem. Everyone there knew each other, but no one recognized me. When one of my brother's friends asked who I was and I answered that I'm his brother, she just said, "Oh," and gave me a dirty look. I could hear people talking about me, and it eventually reached my brother's husband. At some point, he approached me and asked if I was my brother's twin. I said yes. My brother's husband asked me to leave. He said that I was unwelcome and my presence was making everyone uncomfortable. I begged him to let me stay, and I promised I wouldn't talk to anyone, but he refused. After the funeral, I did some asking around and found out that my brother told everyone that he hated his family, including me. I understand why he hated our parents, but I asked for forgiveness and he said no. I wanted us to be close again and he didn't. For years, I held on to the hope that one day he would forgive me, and now I know he hated me the entire time. I know I deserve that, but it's hard to accept. I mean, just because you ask for forgiveness doesn't mean that you were owed it. The way this sentence should have gone is, I understand why he hated me and our parents, and he had every right to hate you. Part of me is glad I went to my brother's funeral because I would have gone no matter what, but part of me regrets it because no one wanted me there and everyone in my brother's circle hates me. I feel like I desecrated my brother's funeral, but I needed to say sorry and goodbye once more. My heart is broken because my brother is gone. I've been depressed and losing sleep over this. My wife and kids are worried because I've been so depressed. I know there's nothing I can do now, but I don't know if I made the right choice. Man, y'all might not agree with me on this, but I have a hard time calling OP the devil. Listen, should he have gone to that funeral? No. Does he deserve forgiveness? No. Should he have done that when he was a kid? Absolutely not. I don't know, guys. I'm a little bit of a slut for a redemption arc, especially as a kid living in like a Catholic home where it's shoved down your throat that gay people are bad. Being homosexual is a sin. Like, obviously I blame him, but also like he was set up for that. I will say he is is the a-hole for going to the brother's funeral. I don't want to call him the devil though. He feels bad for his actions and he wants to fix what he did wrong. The way that in his head is the only way that he can fix what he did wrong is by receiving this brother's forgiveness or going to this brother's funeral. I think now, like, hey bro, this is the bed that you slept in. Go to therapy, figure out a way to be okay with sleeping in that bed, and then think, okay, well, getting your brother's forgiveness is out the door. Being accepted at his funeral, out the door. I think at this point, like, you should find a cause to support kids who are in the same position that you put your brother in. I think you should go the rest of your life trying to prevent that happening to other kids and trying to support kids who that has happened to. I'd hate for him to see this post and for him to think like, oh, I'm trying my best to like be better and they're shitting on me for it. They're calling me the devil. Like, I want to be like, hey man, I like the intention. I don't like the execution. Your intentions are pure. You want to make up for what you did, but your execution at this point needs to be shifted. He literally needs to work his whole life making sure that the wrongs that he put out in this world are heavily outweighed by the rights that he put in.